Hello, caring hearts. How are you? This is Kevin Milburn, and this is Let's Talk Caregiving with Kevin Milburn. And I am excited about tonight. We're getting ready. We're like maybe 2.5 weeks out from our Caregivers Conference. And so I want to encourage everybody, if you can and if you will, come out to the Carson Community Center on Saturday, November 16th. From 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. and get all the information that you need to help you on your caregiving journey. One thing that I always say that if you're not a caregiver or if you're not experienced caregiving in this lifetime, you're either going to need one or you're going to be one. And so it's vital to get all of the information that you need. There's many caregivers out there who give of their life for their families. And so first, I want to give you a round of applause to those of you that are out there who are caregivers for your family, and either you don't get enough thank yous or you don't get enough pat on your backs. But I'm here on tonight just to say thank you for how and what you do for your family, those that you love, those that you provide care for. And on tonight, guys, I'm excited to have Alfreda Jones Moore with us on tonight. She's going to be on with me, and we're going to be talking about insurance. And so I'm excited about that. And so if you've got people out there and friends out there on tonight, I want you guys, tell them to tune in. If you'll do me a favor, if you would like and share and send people over. We're on Milburn and Associates Entertainment Group YouTube on tonight. And so if you'd like to tune in there, please tune in. But on tonight, guys, we want to talk about insurance. We're going to talk about insurance again. We're getting ready for our conference. So we're not going to give you all of the information, but we're going to give you some nuggets on tonight. And so without further ado, guys, I am excited to bring on to Let's Talk Caregiving with Kevin Milburn on tonight. None other than my sister, my friend, Alfreda Moore on tonight. Glad you're here. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Let's Talk Caregiving with Kevin Milburn.
Hey, Kevin, how are you? I'm so excited to be here. I'm excited about their Caregivers Conference, too. You always bring such great stuff, so I'm excited about that.
I am excited that, again, you are going to be a part of it. And let me just give some backstory. Alfreda invited me to her Caregivers Conference, and so it was right up my alley in what I always had been wanting to be a part of. And so she really was the spark behind my interest. I've had a lot of people that I've been connected to. I had written my book, Me Mama Alzheimer's, and really just connecting to people. There's so many people out there who are caregiving for their families, and they feel like they're at their wits' end. They don't have any connectivity to other people that can help them with resources or even just have a shoulder to cry on. And so anyway, I've been in support groups, and I've led support groups for caregivers. And so I stepped out to do a caregivers conference that would involve people where they can get away, more like a getaway from caregiving, you know. And so I just appreciate Alfreda, because she really was the spark that gave me the push to really launch out. And really my ultimate goal is, okay, so futuristically, I am looking to do a cruise for caregivers. That is my ultimate desire, to provide a cruise for caregivers, even if it's 3 days, 4 days, just to be able to get away and relax and get some R&R and change their routine from their day-to-day caregiving. So that's my goal. And hopefully all of my Caring Hearts partners can partner with me to make that happen for caregivers who just need to get away and USA.
Wow.
So on tonight, we're talking about life insurance. And so I'm really excited about this, because my first introduction to life insurance was from my great-grandmother. And my great-grandmother, my great-grandfather, who passed away in his 30s, she had to then activate life insurance, but she activated before then, you know. And so Bakersfield, California. I think she bought like 6 or 7 plots, family plots. And that's where our family is, in Bakersfield, California, in Union Cemetery. But it's because of her, she bought life insurance. And so life insurance, there's nothing like having the relief of knowing that you don't have to do anything but just go through the process of burying your loved one. You don't have to raise funds. You don't have to go through all this stuff. And I've seen it, and we've all seen it. We've seen people have to raise funds because there was no life insurance, there was no policy, there was nothing out there. And so on tonight, guys, I hope that you're sharing and you're liking and you're telling your family members and those gather around on tonight and get this information as Alfreda is going to give us some stuff that's going to be life-changing, and you need it. Everybody needs life insurance. So at this time, I'm just going to let you go ahead and talk and share, so how did you get into life insurance?
So my story is very, very uncommon and kind of a little interesting about the way I even got into the insurance industry. I was a welfare fraud investigator with the County of Los Angeles before I made that jump over. Yeah, I had worked for County of LA for 11 years. 11 years, yeah. And someone introduced me to an Aflac agent. And he, I'm one of these people who was very inquisitive. I'd never heard of Aflac. Of course, I did my research because I'm an investigator. Did my research, and of course, I got a policy. And then he asked me for referrals. And I thought, I know a lot of people in the county. I give you referrals, you're going to make a lot of money. I hold that thought. I'm going to get my insurance license. I'll be back. And that's how I got into the business. Wow. I just saw the opportunity. And as life would go on, I married that agent and we moved. He was living up north, so I quit my job. We moved up north, and that's how I got into the industry, the insurance industry. I still didn't know a lot about life insurance. I knew that everybody needed life insurance because, like you, my parents were big proponents of life insurance. When I worked at the county, I made sure that everything that they offered, I took advantage of. Because what I did understand, even though I didn't have children at the time, I didn't have a family, I wasn't married, I did understand that I didn't want to be a burden to anybody. And if I could take that money and pay for, health care and pay for disability insurance, because if something happened to me, I wanted to be able to have some money coming in because I was responsible for me. And one of the things about the women in my family is that we're very independent and we're very strong women. And I couldn't be independent if I didn't have money, right? So I always wanted to protect my income. And then life insurance, I always told everybody I was worth more dead than alive, even without children, because I understand that was the easiest way for me to pass along and tell my mother and my father that I love them by passing that along to them. So that's kind of how I got started and kind of my thought process around the business before I even got into the business.
Wow. So being in the business, I see, has been a blessing to you. And so now, as far as life insurance and sharing the importance of life insurance to our listeners on tonight, what would be the process if somebody wanted to get life insurance, or what do you need? What should you look for in a policy, and how much?
Okay, so because of the way that we work at New York Life and because of the way our process is, so there's a lot of questions that I ask. I know that a lot of times people come in, I want life insurance, I want $500,000, or I want $1 million, or I want this. It's not that simple for us. It's not like, okay, well, let me give you a quote. Because what I understand is that we want to make sure, first of all, that you're adequately covered. That's the first thing we want to make sure. We want to make sure that life insurance does exactly what you expect it to do. So there are other questions that I want to know. I want to know, do you have a family? I want to know, do you have assets? I want to know, have you saved any money? I want to know, do you want a living benefit? Because life insurance is more than just about a death benefit. It's more than about burial. And I think, especially with our culture, with our culture, we think that life insurance is only for burial. And it's not. It does so much more. And we just had a recent regulation rule change around the whole life policies where you can do even more as far as a living benefit with life insurance than you could ever do before. So those people who are using life insurance to make sure that they're not paying as many taxes on money that they grow can do even more now. So it just depends. So say for instance, you come in, you don't have any children, you just have assets, you want to protect those assets. So we're going to have a longer conversation around that. So I want to know, again, I want to know who you want to protect. I want to know how long you want to protect them for. I want to know what you've done already. I want to know what life insurance you have already. I want to make sure that you're taking advantage of what they're offering at work, because the easiest way to get life insurance is through work. So we want to make sure you're taking advantage of that. We want to know, all of these things. And and that's how we determine what it is. The typical or the most common way to determine how much life insurance you need is you take all of the debt that you have, all of the assets that you have, you add all of that up, and you want to make sure that you have enough to cover that and enough to leave an income to cover whoever, or to replace a certain amount of income for a number of years, for however. So if you want it to last for 5 years, then you add and multiply those numbers. The other most common way is to take 10 times your salary. That's the most common way, is to have at least 10 times your salary. So yeah, and then if you just want it for burial, then you count up the burial costs. But the problem with that is burial costs are rising so high each year, and so that number has to move every year. So those policies that we used to have that were $10,000, that's not covering burial anymore. You need at least $15,000 for a decent funeral. So
wait.
Yeah.
Wait,
go ahead.
You said 50
at least. At least.
On. Wow. I think that's important for people to realize, like, this is good information. Even like when you were saying, because I don't think people really realize, it's like, okay, getting life insurance, but now that I think about it, when you're getting life insurance and for your family, you need to get enough so that they can continue to live in your absence.
Absolutely. You want to replace that income, right? You have all these are the things that we need to think about. I'm making plans. When I got married, the things that we thought about were growing old together. We thought about we're going to work because we both were in business together. And so what we thought about is when we have children, we're going to raise these children. We're going to give these children everything that life could even imagine that they needed to have, right? Then we thought that after a certain amount of time, we had a number that we wanted to retire at, and then we were going to travel. We were going to buy property and all of this. Well, then the thought process is, what if something happens to me next week? How does that person then continue with those dreams and aspirations that they had, missing that income that they have? There's no way for them to do that unless we have some income to replace the income that we were thinking about using for those goals.
Makes total sense. Sense. And so I don't think that we consider it, because we consider, okay, through our jobs, life insurance, but I think that's a great nugget that you got to. So if I'm making $150,000 a year, then my insurance needs to be double and triple that, so that my family can have what it is that they need, and even more. That's a great nugget. Thank you. That's a great nugget.
And I always start though. We start with the actual realistic, the actual numbers that you really need, but we know that everybody's not going to be able to do that. So then the next question we want to ask is, how much have you allocated towards this goal, towards this particular goal? And so we always want to work within a person's budget to do that, and budgets change all the time. So because one of the things that for me I do not want is somebody, when things get tough and hard, the first thing that they have to discontinue is their life insurance, because that's the thing you need even more when things get tough and hard. That's the thing you need the most.
And the truth is, that is the first thing that they consider to go. When they have to make a decision, that they're like, oh well, I'll cut life insurance, or because other stuff. But that's another aha, like, no, don't cut it.
Yeah, and and because we're talking about caregiving in the caregivers conference, most policies now have what we call a caregiver rider on there. So I was speaking with a young lady today, and she was really interested in long-term care insurance. And then we, told her what we were there for. Our company offers long-term care, but we were there specifically to make sure that they took advantage of the life insurance that we were offering through their employer. It was the county of LA. And she kept saying, well, I don't believe in life insurance. I don't need life insurance. But then we had to go back. Okay, the life insurance is also for the living, because there's a rider on there. So if something were to happen to you, you say your doctors came back and said, hey, you only got 6 months to live, you can access those benefits before something happened because of those riders. So there are all types of riders.
Say that again.
You can access that money, that $1 million policy that you have, you can access up to 90%, up to a certain number. The state of California make sure that you can access up to 90% or a certain number, as long as you leave 10,000 in there before something happened, that you can use for long-term care incidents or expenses. So life insurance, again, is not just for death insurance. It's for other living benefits too. You can, if you have disability incidents, 6 months or more, you're not able to work, they'll pay that policy for you for as long as you need them to pay it. So life insurance doesn't have to be a struggle. It really doesn't have to be a struggle, and it doesn't have to cost a lot. And what also people need to understand is the younger you are, the less expensive it is.
Right.
You wait till you're 60.
One more time.
Yeah, the younger you are, the least expensive it is for you. Yeah, it is. So, and it's important that, go ahead.
No, I was going to say go ahead. No. Yeah. You're on.
It's important here's what's important for parents to understand too, is we need to make sure that our young people have insurance. I know that we want to make sure that they're responsible and paying their own bills, but until they get to that place where they are really responsible, get some life insurance on them. Even get a term life insurance policy for them, a 20-year term, a 10-year term. You know why? Because their health might change. And if their health changes, it's going to become more difficult for them to get insured, but at least you've saved their insurability, because New York Life's policies are what we call convertible. Once you get a term life policy, or once that policy and you've qualified for it, you can now be diagnosed with cancer and you still have insurance, and we can convert that over to a permanent policy that will never end. So it's important to save their insurability.
That is so good. Okay, so for those of you that just tuned in, this is Let's Talk Caregiving with Kevin Milburn. We are excited because Alfreda Jones-Moore is going to be at our conference on November 16th. You got to be there at the Carson Community Center. She's going to be dropping some nuggets just like she's been dropping. And so I'm like ecstatic. And so now, what are the types of, so I know of term, whole, and is there an IUL or no? What is
universal?
Okay,
there's universal. Yeah.
And what are the benefits of what those three? I know. Yeah.
Okay, so let's think about renting a house versus buying a house. Okay. So you have two basic types, but in those two basic types, you have some other types within those. So you have a term life and you have a permanent life insurance. So permanent life insurance means that you're going to pay a premium that you can pretty much pay for your rest of your life, and your premiums won't change. Well, that's what the whole life. Your premium won't change. Your death benefit will always be the death benefit. It grows cash value like owning a house. You earn equity in your home. The term life is just that. It's for a specific term. So it's for 10 years, it's for 5 years, it's for 10 years, it's for 20 years. There's no equity or no cash value that's been built in them. And they're typically much less expensive than the whole life policies. The whole life policies, again, you pay for them for now. The original policies, you had to pay for them until age 100, but the death benefit stays the same. The premiums never go up. It guarantees that to build cash value. Now there are so many different types of whole life policies. You have a policy that you can pay up in 10 years. You can pay it up in 25 years. You don't have to pay on it forever, but the cash value is guaranteed to grow in those policies that you can access or whenever you want. We call it banking on whole life, meaning that you can go and pull that money out in the form of a loan, and pay it back if you want, and not pay it back depending on who you have or depending on the policy that you have. And then there's universal policy. Now, whole life is a lot more expensive, but it's well worth it, because the younger you end up paying less when you have a whole life policy over the long term, because term life, you have to requalify and all of that. Unless you have one of them handy dandy whole New York Life ones, you don't have to requalify. But the universal policy is like an in between that. And it was designed to make sure that people were able to have the life insurance, but invest some money in their policies and get some growth in there. You can put money in there. But what we have to remember about the universal, it's flexible. So the premiums are flexible, meaning that you can pay more in the premium and you can pay less on the premium. Your death benefits are flexible depending on how you're paying into it. The cash value grows in it as well. But here's the thing about the cash value in a UL policy. Then that means, and so there are different types. I'm going to tell you about 3 different types of, and it's a lot, okay? Tell you about 3 different types of universal policy. So, but what you have to be careful of with the universal policy, when you pull money out of that policy, you have the potential to lapse the policy if you don't pay that money back. And the reason for that is that the cash value in a UL policy is used to pay the rising cost of insurance. Whole life policies take into consideration the rising cost of insurance. That's why they cost more, right? So if you access the whole lot, that cash value in the policy, you're less likely to lapse it. It's not going to lapse unless you stop paying the premiums. Now, there are 3 types of UL policies, or universal policies. There's a straight universal policy, there's an index universal policy, and there's a variable index policy. Variable index policies are policies that your money is in the market, actually. So they take money that guaranteed cash value, they put that money in the market so that you can get some growth that's based on what the market is doing, right? That cash value, though, is not guaranteed, because whatever the market does, that's what that cash value does. But you can access it, all of it, tax-free. You can get that money out tax-free. IUL policies, index policies, they're based on what the S&P does. So that money sits in a separate fund. It's not in the market. It sits in a separate fund. So you can't lose any of it, right? But depending on how well the company invests its money, it'll give you a credit. It'll credit you some interest based on what the S&P 500 does. And there's a cap on it of how much they'll give you. And there's a floor. So it depends on the company, what they decide to do. UL policies just give you that aren't index or variable. They just give you a guaranteed credit interest rate. So then the important thing to remember about the index is that the company can change its mind. It could start off saying, okay, we're going to give you 7% max and 2% floor, but they can decide that year, hey, we didn't do so well, we're not going to give you anything. That's the way those work. And in order to really, really, really get anything out of a index universal policy, you have to overfund them. So if you're just funding them there's a couple of ways to fund it. It's just a lot to really explain, but there's a couple of ways to fund them, but you have to really, really overfund them to get any real growth out of them. But you have to realize too, that for the first 10 to 15 years, depending on the company, there are fees associated with it. So you could be getting credited some interest rate, but there are fees that might reduce what you're actually earning. Right.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So when I was a little boy, I remember the insurance man coming over to meet with my grandmother, and they had these little cards, and they would.
Yeah.
So when I think about insurance, and this was Mr. Such and Such for Farmers Insurance or whatever insurance, and they would come over to the house. Is that a thing? Is that a thing anymore, or is it?
Yeah, that's the thing with us. Well, I don't come over with a card, but you know what? My mom's insurance person representative, he actually comes over the house. He documents her car. She's had him forever. There are just a few. There's a handful of companies that still do it that way. The newer policies that they have, they don't do that. but they will do that for the old policies that they used to have. But yeah, no, you don't have that happening anymore. But here's the great thing about companies like, New York Life and companies like, some MetLife. Well, MetLife is kind of changing a little bit, but Mass Mutual and Northwestern Mutual, there's companies out there where we sit down and we're going to talk to you, and we're going to, but we don't have a little book, but we do have online where you could take it, you could see everything is electronic now. Everything is coming out. You don't give us cash anymore. Nobody's handing, barely handing. If we hand us a check, it's for the purpose of setting up your electronic deductions. But yeah, my mom's guy still does that. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's okay. For those of you just tuning in, this is Let's Talk Caregiving with Kevin Milburn. We have Alfreda Moore on tonight, Jones Moore, who is she is so knowledgeable when it comes to insurance, and she's dropping nuggets. And I want you guys, listen, she's going to be with us for the Caregivers Conference, the 4th annual Caregivers Conference that'll be at the Community Center, the Carson Community Center, on November 16th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And I am just ecstatic about getting knowledge into the hands of people. Registration is just going crazy. People are calling me, and I'm so grateful for this, for the people that need the information. The people that need the information. There's so many people out there who need this information. It's life-changing. You need the nuggets. You need the nuggets. So we're going to get insurance. We're going to get wellness, mental wellness. We're going to talk about health. We're going to talk about finance. One of the things that one of my friends asked me, well, what would you say to your younger self, Kevin? And I would have told myself to snap out of it and not been polarized, because I was in the caregiving situation. My situation of caregiving for my mother made me so focused on my mother, and I was polarized. I did not think about what my next life would be like when my caregiving was over. And so there's a lot of things that I didn't line up because I was either in that situation, and really, honestly, there's so many people out there barely making it, and so there are a lot of situations, a lot of information out there. There's a lot of solutions, but I suggest to anybody who might be out there, fight to set up your life insurance and fight to keep it. And so because when you look at down the line, you are gonna be so happy that you did. And I'll tell a story that I had been consistent on this policy that I had, and I got into a financial crunch and could not afford to pay for the policy. Well, here it is. I get this information from the doctor that says my mom only has 4 months to live, and to bring the policy up to, I think it was only like $2,000, and I can activate the policy. But guess what? When you don't have $2,000, guess what? But my point is that it's important to keep your policy. Keep your policy. Connect with life insurance agents who really care about people and who really well. They're not sharks, or they really mean what they mean about the people, to help the people. And this not only helps you, but it helps your family in the future. Like just tonight, I was like, oh, I need to do this. I need to increase this more, because you are setting up your family for the future, and so I am excited about this. Is there any other nuggets out there for caregivers that you would like to share tonight?
Absolutely. And what you said about your experience with your mother just, made me think this. I always want to encourage people who have life insurance policy. If you have a life insurance policy, make sure that you're reviewing it, first of all, every year. with your agent. If you don't have an agent and you bought it online and you want me to look at it, definitely look at it for free. If that's not something that we charge for, because we want to make sure that people are covered. We want to make sure that their coverage is going to last. We want to make sure that you understand what your coverage is. One of the things that in the state of California, in most states, the Department of Insurance makes sure that it's not easy to lapse your policy. So here in the state of California, you have 60 days before they can actually terminate your policy. So if you're behind, even New York Life, actually 3 months, if you can get behind 3 months, if you catch up one payment, they'll keep that payment, they'll keep that policy going for you until you can keep up the rest. There are non-forfeiture options, laws in place to make sure that we can keep our life insurance policies. So one premium, if you're 3 months behind, give them a premium, call them, do not ignore them. Someone told me years ago, don't ignore your creditors, call them, ask them, hey, what can I do? You'll find that, they'll work with you to make sure you keep your policy. The other thing is, owners, make sure because our seniors get to the point, and my daughter was talking about me the other day, how I forget stuff. Want to make sure that you add additional owners to senior policy. So I'm 62 years old. My daughter is going to be, I haven't put her on yet, the successor owner to my policy, because if someone calls that, you're just like your mom, unless you have a power of attorney, they're not going to give you any information about her policy, even if you're the beneficiary. But if you put another person on there, have the company put another address if the premiums are missed, right? To alert someone. So if my mom's policy, if she misses a premium, it alerts me and I'm like, okay, wait, you didn't pay this bill. I can do something about it before it's too late, because they forget things. So make sure you do that.
No, wait. That is a great nugget that people need to hear. So you're saying to have a parent to have you put on as an owner, because so there's a difference between an owner and a beneficiary.
Absolutely.
And I think people think that because they're a beneficiary that they can weigh in if something was wrong with their parent. But this is a good nugget that you need to be an owner on the policy in order to transact business regarding that life insurance policy.
Right. Make it a successor owner or a joint owner. So it depends on how, some people you don't want to be owners on your policy because they can change things, but make sure it's people that you trust. But make sure definitely successor owners, and those successor owners can be your kids, can be your even husband and wife. I've had incidents where a husband and wife, a husband is the owner only and not the wife. It's nowhere on there, only a beneficiary. Oh, wow. And this person is still alive, but they're not able to speak for themselves. And this person is not doesn't have power, but insurance company is not going to tell you anything. I don't care who it is. I've had spouses who were, the other spouse was owner of their policy, and the insurance company is not going to give you any information. This is the policy that I pay for. This is a policy that, somebody else is the beneficiary for, and it's on my life. You're not going to have access to it if you're not the owner on that policy, right? Check your beneficiaries all the time, especially at work. People neglect to change beneficiaries. Here's another nugget too. With the life insurance, if you have whole life policies, something happens and you get in a tight, or that person passes and you're the owner on that successor owner policy, right? You don't have a burial policy, you don't have things. You can access that cash value just by simply being the owner of that policy to help pay for those expenses before you actually get that policy. But there's a ways that you have to do it. You can't wait. If you know that something's happening, that mom's, in a state of, where the doctors are telling you, something's going to happen, family all come together, you're owner on that policy, go grab that cash value, go and take care of what you need to take care of. And all they'll do is deduct it out of that death benefit, and you don't have any hassles. But that's the benefit of talking with agents and, having agents in your pocket that you trust, who are going to help you through these processes, So, but then there's a lot more that you can do too.
you have just like opened the floodgates even of my mind, and like, oh my goodness. And so um this is for those of you that listen, get to the conference. This is the information that you're going to get and so much more. And so I want to thank you for being here tonight with us, giving us
Thank
nuggets,
you.
giving us information. So it looks like if you need an agent, if you need an agent, I got the right one on this broadcast tonight.
Thank you.
And so really, as soon as I finish, I'm going to talk to my wife because there's a lot of things that I got tonight, which is just amazing. I'm so excited, and I look so forward to you
Good.
presenting to us at the annual conference, Family Caregivers Conference. Those of you that have not registered, please go on Eventbrite and register today. We'd love to see you there. It is a special time. We're going to get information on mental wellness, physical wellness, financial wellness, there's all kind of things that we're going to offer. We're going to even have some interactive stuff. So we're going to do some yoga a little bit, and we're going to do a body works, and we're going to get up, and we're going to be having music, and we're going to interact, and it's going to be so much fun. But those of you that are out there, family caregivers, I've had people calling me saying, Kevin, I got to get there all the way from up north. I got to get there.
Awesome.
I got to be there because I'm taking care of both parents. I'm taking care. So I want you to know that this event is for not only for the family caregiver, but it's for senior adults with adult children. And so I'm encouraging adult children that your parents need partnership in this season. When it comes to, you need partnership. And so we're going to talk about partnership. There's going to be a segment where I'm going to do Let's Talk Caregiving with Kevin Milburn, and I'm going to talk about stuff that people don't want to necessarily talk about, but we're going to partner together because this is about information. This is about getting us to the next level. This is that you're not by yourself. There's so many people that are by themselves, and I understand moments in life, but you need resources. You need resources like Sister Alfreda Jones Moore, who's like tonight, my mind is blown, but I already knew that she's fire in industry. She's a beacon of light in this industry. So I'm excited because there's going to be a lot of people. She's going to have a table at the conference. So at any time that you need to get information and you want to make an appointment with her, make an appointment. If I was going to be a spokesperson tonight, I would say she is the person for the job. She is the one for the job to help you get to the next level. And so we're going to wind up the show now, but I'm excited. Get there on November 16th, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Get there, be ready. We're going to have so much fun together. And Alfreda is going to have a booth there. Stop by her booth. She's going to speak to us, but she's going to be able to give you information in her booth, make an appointment with her. I'm telling you, your life will never be the same. Is there anything that you want to say to our listeners as we close up this show on tonight?
Yeah, you know what? I just want to give this quick thought. I do what I do, and I appreciate you. I appreciate the things that you say because I really do love people, and I really do. My concern is, making sure that people are okay. And when a couple of months ago, you may know that I had a pacemaker put in, just walking, minding my own business, almost passed out. I'm not sick. Nothing. I'm 62 years old. I'm healthy. I've never been in the hospital. The flu barely comes my way. But so you never know what's going to happen. But while I was sitting in that, on that gurney, being rolled down to have an MRI and all of that, two things went through my mind, just two. Is Courtney going to do what I asked her to do with that life insurance and go talk to the people at my colleagues to make sure she handles that money right? Because I knew that I was covered. I didn't worry about heaven because I knew I had that taken care of, And the other thing that I thought about was, I am so glad that I qualified and got my long-term care policy now, because if I don't come through this in a way that I have to have care, I don't have to worry about that, because now I can't get a policy. I'm glad I did that before then. So those were the two. And my manager asked me, did you really think about that? I'm like, yeah, those are the two things that I thought about. And so we want to make sure that we do this stuff before we need it, really before we need it. And so every time I sit in front of somebody, I'm talking to them about that, because you just never know what might happen. Never know.
Long term
care.
Long term. That's important. Long term. And we're gonna have information at Sister Alfreda's table at the conference, and she can give you information about long term, because it is important. And as we're maturing, as we're getting processing in life, it impacts our children, what we do and what we don't do. And so on tonight, guys, again, I want to thank you for being a part of Let's Talk Caregiving with Kevin Milburn. You guys don't forget to come out and be a part of this great conference on November 16th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. I am excited about what we're going to be doing. I'm excited about you. I'm excited. Alfreda, thank you so much for being a part of the Caregiving Network. Like I said, you're everything that you do means, and I know you, and you do care about people, and that's what I love the most. And you really, this is not a show. You really do care for people, and so I applaud you. I appreciate you. I thank you, and I can't wait to see you on the 16th of November at the Carson Community Center.
Yay!
So, we love you guys, and we will talk soon, guys. Promote. Share, and we will talk soon, guys. Have a wonderful night. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much.
All right.
Goodbye.